down, will never come down. When the sun comes up, we'll be feeling how we do right now. My heart's on fire, coming down to the wire. While the world sleeps, we'll keep burning brighter and brighter. Me, nothing to do. These days they come and go. Me, nothing to lose. I feel it in my soul. Let's let the good times. Nothing to do. These days they come and go. Nothing to lose. I feel it in my soul. So let's let the good times roll. So let's let the good times roll. Let the good times roll.
Hey,
Christopher,
man, let's
we
let
are
the good
live.
times roll. Absolutely.
Dude, that song will get me fired up. I was just dancing. I wanted to run around, but then I would be huffing and puffing, and I didn't want to come and just be out of breath. So happy Monday to you, sir. How are you?
You know, man, I'm doing so good. Happy Monday to you as well.
Yeah.
We are in the, I think they call this the dog days of summer, but man, I'm so thankful coming off a really, really beautiful family weekend. Talk about systems, man. My parents celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary.
40th.
40.
Hey.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
40 years. That's amazing.
Here's this thing, man. Like I think of it within families, right? Like the amount of things that you learn over time in the way that you just work together. Like when we cook a meal together, talking about systems, like everyone knows who does what the best. And so I am primed up and ready to talk about this. I actually was really funny. I was messaging someone on the way in this morning. They're like, "What are you doing today?" I was like, doing a live talking about policy and systems. And they're like, "Oh, that sounds fun." I was like, "No, it totally is." Like Evan and I are super jacked about it. And it brought to my awareness, yet again, some of the things that we pursue passionately are other people's pain points. So I'm just excited to be able to share some of our journey in some of the ways today, how systems have honestly just really, really impacted in a positive way the growing of our salon company and the experience of the growth of our salon company.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone who's watching, thank you for watching. You're probably most likely watching on YouTube. So we are on YouTube Live. If you are watching right now, I would love for you to comment down below, or if you're watching on our website, there's a chat feature there. I would love to know where you're from. Put in where you are from, because we want to say hello and see where people are logging in from. So thank you guys for joining us today. Like Christopher said, with systems and processes, it's not the fun thing to say, right? It's not like systems, processes. It sounds kind of boring, but the systems have to serve the people. And so if systems serve people, then you can get excited about the process, because the process should make what I love working in an organization where I know what's expected of me. I know what's next. I know what to do in certain situations. And so same thing with our company. Once we started putting systems and processes into our company, we got to see it start running by itself, so we don't have to be here 110% of the time, which we're still here 110% of the time, seems like, but it's not, people are not coming up and asking us questions on everything. So if you're a salon owner right now, or you're a business owner and you're getting a lot of questions all the time, that lets you know that's a red flag of I need to put a system, I need to put a process in so I can serve the people. Because guess what? Not everybody wants to keep coming to you, asking you questions all the time. They're coming because they don't know what to do. And I love it when, in my mind, your mind's probably like this too, Christopher, is when someone comes and asks me a question, my first thought is to give them the answer if I know the answer, but also, how can I streamline this so next time or another person, if this happens, and you probably just like you guys, we go into our monthly meeting. If it's urgent, we'll do it in the daily meeting, but in our monthly meeting, be like, hey, this came up. This is what we do next time. And then we'll implement that into our staff hub as well, just to have it systematized. So having systems and processes is very, very vital. We're going to talk about some things that's been winning with Antigen 11, winning in Silver Salon, and, winning with salons that we're coaching. Like you've done an amazing, you have done amazing work with some of the salons that we've been working with. And all you're doing is you're getting systems and processes when it comes to commission structure, pricing, all that. So that's there to serve the stylists and serve the people, the service providers inside the company.
100%, man. 100%. And the thought that I have to it is, I truly believe that if we create great systems, what we actually do within that is we actually cultivate creativity. We were just having this conversation on the front side of this and priming it. And I really want everyone to think about it. Like in a situation when there's great structure, creativity and personality are allowed to exist and they're allowed to flourish, right? And the one that I'm going to be using today, a lot is, the evolution of the way that we onboard and the way that we train and the way that we equip our salon coordinators, because, in a commission-based, structure, they are there to serve and really making it apparent of like, the old way was like, man, if they could just see the things I see. And instead of that, I was like, oh, let's help them and equip them through good process and training manuals to create situations where they can see, right? So yeah, I'm primed up and ready to jump in all the way down to though too. Like, and I love that we're taking it, the whole like standard operating procedure and the way that like the acronym of like SOP, the moment I say that, I'm like, hey, we're not a Fortune 5 company, guys, but we're going to use this acronym because it is something that we want to talk through. We're just going to add a little bit of fun to that acronym because systems, honestly, like systems create fun is what I think.
Well, let's go ahead and debunk a myth. And the myth is people do not like structure. People crave structure. They crave structure. Now they'll tell you like, I'm an Enneagram 7, so I don't like to be shackled. I don't like, have my hands behind. I'll take them off and run out of the building. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about structure, especially when it comes to a company. We have to have some type of structure, even in the refined network. Right now it's Christopher and I. We're starting this thing up, and we've done so much in 6 months, but we still have to have structure. We can't be all over the place. Mm-hmm. So people do crave structure. So if you're thinking, oh, the people that work inside of the building, they just kind of want to do their own thing. They don't crave structure. That's a myth. They do. And the thing about it, I'll talk to myself. There was a time where I felt like our staff was looking at me and was like, you need to step up. They never said that, but it's like, hey, you need to step up. Like as we grow, those growing pains, yep. You have to start systematizing these things. We're going to talk about front desk. I mean, front desk, you bring in someone, you want front desk to all operate, not like robots. You want their personality to shine, but you got to have a system. And with Sammy, our front desk person in our company, we sat down because she does a lot of the training at the front desk because she's been there. She's a great teacher. I'm a terrible teacher. She was out sick, which Sammy never gets sick, but I had to train one of our stylists because everybody goes through our front desk training. Yep. And I just realized I was just so quick. And the stylist was like, huh, what? I was like, I'm so sorry. I wish Sammy was here because she's a much better teacher. But Sammy and I sat down and we're like, okay, what does a new employee need to know about front desk? And we wrote it out. Let's just go ahead and tackle front desk because I know you have some stuff too. I'm not going to go through all this,
Right.
but day one, we're going to teach them how to clock in and clock out. Very
Yep.
simple, right?
Yep.
But again, we want to dot the I's, cross the T's. That on day one, they're typically just shadowing, getting to experience the culture, the whole customer experience. They get the pace of how we interact with each other. We'll get them checking in on the software because that's pretty easy just to check in a guest. And then new guest packets. We walk them through new guest packets. We teach them how to use the espresso machine because it's not like a Keurig.
Nope, it's fancy.
Yeah.
They're basically, Silver Salon also has baristas. Like y'all don't have that on your application piece of it. Y'all are skilled in the making of coffee.
Sammy always makes jokes when we first got it. She was like, "Oh, do I work at Starbucks now?" I'm like, kind of.
Yeah.
And so that's just day one because day one is overwhelming. Typically, they're going through orientation, which we'll get to in a bit. And then day two, they're checking in guests, services schedule, the timing. That's really hard if you're hiring a non-stylist or a non-service provider. We typically, get some high school students in here. They don't know how long it takes to apply and process. Like me, when I first started, I didn't know any of that. We talk about, we have different levels for our staff. So we go through that. We go through, we have a board that we put out on outside the front door. It welcomes new guests. It has their name on it. So we go over that. And then day 3 and day 4, let's see, day 4, we're talking about, front desk tracking, the phone, basically. As we go through, we're doing, see if I can say this correctly. We're doing, I do, you watch, you do, I watch, you do. So that's kind of and on the last day, I'm like, all right, I'm going to let you run the show. I'm gonna be here for help, but do you want me to be right beside you? Do you want me to be within eye distance so I can keep an eye on you and you can just like blink twice if you need help? Or do you want me completely out of the picture? And so that's really good on training. Having systems and processes for front desk will completely change the game in your company. Completely. So tell me, give us some ideas of your front desk training.
The first thing I'm going to do, and forgive me because I don't know that
we're moving the camera.
Hey, we got a little bit of movement going on.
We're going on a tour.
I want to say to the thing that you said that you did with Sammy. So that's Roxy down there. Hi, Roxy. So the thing that we do the same way is whenever we are going to be training, we go back through the training manual because here's the thing, this role is always in evolution. So we go back through our training manual and we're like, hey, is there anything that we've updated since the last time that we've trained? And we do this for a number of reasons. One of them obviously is to keep the manual up to date. The other thing though, is for us to just check in and say, oh, hey, the thing that we added, does it make sense to someone that's training that's brand new? Or did we launch it and like we have an experienced team so that we were able to roll it out? It made sense to everybody. But like, is someone that's just starting with us, are they going to understand the why of why we're encouraging this system or this process? And, here's the thing. I stumbled upon it and I celebrate, you and Aaron for the same thing. The part within systems and processes, and I want everyone in the room to hear this, if we just create those by ourselves, and Evan, you said exactly the same thing. You and we do work the front desk, right? Fully capable, ready to serve whenever is needed. However, there are people in our organization that do it better. And the part is when we're creating these things, we have to make sure to give them some right of role and responsibility because they are actually like Roxy is so much more surgical within the role, right? When I have to fill in, I'm always in my mind, I'm like, okay, like I got to emulate Roxy right now. Good Lord. right? And it's a great place for me to look to, because like that's the experience that our team is looking for. They're used to A players being up there, very, very on top of all of the things that are that. And I also wanted to share this. Over the weekend, there was another podcast that came out about, there's some professional talk about a company that I would say that they're a competitor. We don't have much alignment to them, but we are very, very on the side of supporting our team. So to be very clear, we are pro front desk. And the reason that we're pro front desk is because we've developed the systems to serve. Now, if you don't have this ability, and trust me, in our years, Evan, I'm sure that you've seen the same. I've walked into some places and I've watched this human, and I know that their role is so confined to answering phones because they just sit there. They're just there. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, awesome. Let's build this out. Where are your gifts? Where are your brilliance? And how can you serve more? So the evolution of this manual, this training manual, is because of the people, but it's also for the main reason of like, we want to serve.
Yeah. And we're not going to, because we could we'll get feisty when it talks about no front desk. Now there are salons there. Let me I
will fight for Roxy. Absolutely.
Let me put an asterisk here. Let's talk about this. So with front desk, there are some salons financially, you're not there to have a front desk. So that is okay. There are salons that operate well with front desk. The ones, I think we could dig down, like what you said, a little bit deeper and say, hey, A, do we have the right person? Mm-hmm. And then B, do we have the right systems and processes and training? Because there's 3 reasons. I've said this before. I'll say it all the time. Why are people not doing things? It's because of training. They're either lazy or they're incompetent. So we can control training. So that's why we need to help with training from the top down. So we talked about front desk. Let's go back to orientation. You guys do orientation in your company, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. And I find out a lot of times there's no orientation in a company. Now, salon owners are probably thinking, I don't have time to do an orientation. And I would say I would find time.
100%.
I would find, I would find time. If you can look at your phone and see how much screen time you've used over the week, or Netflix that you've used.
Shots fired on a Monday.
Yeah. Happy Monday. And hey, I'm talking to myself here as well. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of times I say I don't have time for something, but when I look back, I'm like, I just don't manage my time well. So with orientation, here's the thing. Our orientation, you're probably going to pass out, Chris, and whoever's listening, it's 3 hours long. It's long, I'm telling you, but I do make it fun. We do the pennies for profit. Basically, we talked about this before, is where it shows where every penny in the company goes. Because around here, it's probably just a South Carolina thing, but people will say, hey, don't go to a commission salon because Evan and Aaron, they're going to take half your money. And it's like, time out. Evan and Aaron ain't taking half of your money. The company is. This is what we're offering you as an employee of the company. So that's a whole different bag to get into. But we go through what's expected. We talk about the 2 words that we do not use together in our company is the words I'm tired. We don't say it. It does not move the needle forward in our company. Everybody's tired. So we just say, hey, we do not use these words together. So wouldn't that be good to know on the first day instead of 3 days in? They're like, I'm tired. And everybody's looking over like, oh my gosh. So we are teaching cultural things during orientation, but we're also talking about, the HR stuff that we have to talk about as well. So we do make it fun in orientation. It is long. It's really according to who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a younger person who's straight out of high school, this is their first job, I'm going to take a little bit more time. Other than, if it's somebody who's been experienced, that's had professional jobs, I'm like, because we talk about dress in there. We talk about everything. Obviously, it takes 3 hours. So tell us about your orientation. Hopefully it's much shorter.
Yeah. So, that's the part of it when I really think it through. So our process, and I'm so thankful for talking about this today, because I'm even seeing the intentionality of like how we're going above and beyond before they're even an employee. Some of the things, when we have someone come in within the interview process, they shadow with us. Purpose of the shadow, I want you just to be in the building and I want to spend a couple hours together. You can naturally get kind of a read, and you also just get a chance to connect, and it's not so necessarily as formal. But one of the things that we do immediately within the shadow is, hey, what are the things that we can create safety and security for? Bottom, like bare minimum, you need to know where you can go to the bathroom. And then I also want you, got a thumbs up. Thank you so much.
Got some.
Yep.
Is mine on? There we go.
There we go. Yeah. So like standard house cleaning rules, right? Where do you go to the bathroom? Where do you get water? Right? I want you to be hydrated while you're here. And if you have to excuse yourself, I don't want that to be a situation of like, I felt like I couldn't interrupt him. Nope. That is a human need. So like right away off the gate, like create safety and security, letting them know what it is. Now, when we give the tour of the building, and I was so thankful for being able to do that vision day with SOS this last week, because where we've been, I bring that in. I let them know where we started. I let them know like, when we moved into this building, this was going to be where the office was. Now it's up here, right? I tell a little bit of a story in that way, but naturally our orientation honestly starts before they're even hired with us to a capacity, right? Within the actual role though, I would say that, we're going through a lot of it on day one in the way that we've built ours. And I love the flexibility of it. It is a 7-day, 7-shift training program. And at the end of it, that's where we're releasing you to really like, hey, we're still going to schedule someone to support you because we care. But we're really at the end of it, like we need to see your understanding of it and then go through all of these pages to say, you know what? When it comes to this specific issue, gosh, I'm a little bit foggy on that. Could we review that? And like, let me understand the why of it a little bit more, right? So to be clear, Evan, our orientation, I might say like it goes for the full 7 days.
Yeah. I mean, yours is longer than mine. No, but yeah, so we do it a little bit differently. I have 3 hours with them. Then I hand them off to front desk.
Yep.
And then if they're a stylist, after they're trained at front desk for 5 days, then they go into our artist academy.
Yep.
They're training there. So
hey, I want to discover a little bit of brilliance you just shared. Evan, why is it important? Because we do the same thing. Why is it important to take the time and make the investment in a new stylist coming into your company that they understand your front end procedures? Why do you guys do that?
Because, well, first off, there's a couple of reasons. The first off, a lot of companies have front desks and they have stylists and they do this.
Yep.
And we're like, hey, let's remove that and see, because, and if a stylist has to check out their own guests, or they have to watch front desk while someone's taking a lunch break, they know how to greet people. I mean, the first thing we say when someone walks in the door is welcome to Silver Salon, not, hey, what's up? Woo, it's hot out there. It's welcome to Silver Salon. So if everyone gets trained the same, then everybody knows what's expected. But yes, it's to bring that unity that everyone goes through the same. Here's the thing. If everyone goes through the same training and it works, you just rinse and repeat,
Yep.
So then they go into the artist academy, and that's more of so I'm very hands-on on the 3-hour orientation. Honestly, there's a part of that I could record if I have time. I'm kind of burned out on editing videos at the moment.
No,
I'm not burnt out. We've edited over 30 videos for the artist academy. So we have 2 or 3 more and then we're done. The next one's 2 hours long. So I'm like Steven Spielberg now. That's a movie. That's a long movie.
Yep.
But so I'm hands-on in the orientation. I basically hold hands with the front desk as they're training. And then once they go to the artist academy, I'm hands off at that point. And then that's where my wife steps in and helps train them. And it's the same artist academy that we're launching. We're saying September 1st to the public. We're just having to, again, dot I's and cross T's to make sure we have all the deliverables. The workbook is 99.9% the way done. But again, that's another system and process. So if you're like, hey, that training the stylist, that part is kind of all over the place. And listen, we get it. That's why we developed it, because you might have someone, say you have 2 educators in your company, and you have one that's a really great educator. They really have a heart. They want to mentor someone. And then you have another one and they just need help.
Yep.
So if you put 2 new stylists under those 2 people, you might see one grow a little bit further than this one. What we did with the Artist Academy is everything is trained the same exact way. And we started seeing people rise up at the same time, because there's technical skills that they have to do that the mentor will sign off on. So it's not like, oh my gosh, how did Susie get through training and she's terrible at pixies? She's never done a pixie. It's like, well, through the Artist Academy, that is a section, and she has to do a pixie. I'm kind of going off I know that she has to do them on a model. I think she has to do them on live models as well.
Yep.
But as they go through, again, it's a system and a process, and it's there to serve the people. When we interview people, we say, hey, look, this is the system we have. It's proven. It's just according how you're going to show up. If you show up with a lot of drive and a lot of passion, you'll probably get through this a little bit quicker, but you're going to be a better version of yourself on the other side of this, just because it's a system that's proven.
Yeah. And I think, right, the part of it, again, and I just keep going back to this, it's so important for us to also understand, like, a good system without high level understanding doesn't create a great result. So the other part of it is really making sure that, like, when we're handing off that responsibility and we're saying that we've been equipped, it's really, really important that we actually are able to know that. And that's another thing, like, in the intentionality of it, like, we don't have people talking on the phone right away. Why? Because they might not know what to say, or in a challenging situation. Now, again, we always encourage, like, hey, you know what? I'm training, so if this is a little bit fumbled, please give me a little bit of grace. However, though, I also have to be aware of, like, okay, how do I minimize that? And then also equip them better. So in that handoff, and I believe, Evan, you said it, so I'd want to give you proper credit to it. And it's so simple. So round 1, I do, you watch. That's what it is, right?
Yep.
So I do, you watch, you do, I watch, we review that, and then the handoff is you do.
Yep.
And then in the experience of it, it's not necessarily that I'm still overseeing. It's just to say, hey, do you really understand all the pieces to this? And is it clear?
Yeah.
Right. And when it's clear, we're able to move on and move forward onto more things. So I want to just say, for the people that are out there, as Evan said that this morning, I was like, man, my brain, I'll put 14 words when you need 2. And so the reality of it is, when we're able to think about that and explain it really, really simply, here's the expectation of what your experience is going to be. I do, you watch. You do, I watch, you do. And all the way through that, we're having a conversation and reviewing, because the intention of good training on great systems is to raise the competence. And when competence has been raised, confidence is experienced. And that's what we want people to have in our brands.
Yeah, our job as leaders is to make success easy for our people. To make success easy for our people. So the more, like, if I'm working front desk and I know exactly what I'm going to be trained on, instead of everything being bombarded in one day. Same thing with the Artist Academy. You know why a lot of people come into this industry and then they're out in a year or 2? We can nail it down to leadership, culture, systems, and processes. They did not have a path that was already paved by someone who went first and said, hey, this is what I did. This is what we've seen. Walk on this path. It's even paved. Yeah. But we have so many people going out there with, I don't know what that tool is, but like, let's just say a machete, and like cutting down and like paving their own path.
Oh, a sickle.
A what?
A sickle.
A sickle. I don't even know what that is. That must be a Wisconsin thing.
It's an old, it looks like the Grim Reaper carries it. It's a single blade. We've evolved it to up here called weed whipping.
Yeah, weed whipping. I said that the other day. So Christopher was in our salon. He was talking about weed whipping. We're like, weed whipping? We don't say that. We saw weed whacking in the South. So weed whipping does sound better. So I did say that the other day, and our staff started laughing. But so we've talked about orientation. If you're watching this and you need help with orientation, please reach out to us. We would love to walk you through that. Having the employee handbook, like that's something that legally you should have.
Yeah.
But also,
Yes.
which, a lot of salons, they open up and then they start to grow and they're thinking, oh, I need to develop this. This is something we can help you out with. And then having front desk training at the front, having associate training. So we've already developed associate training through the Artist Academy. And so if you're interested in the Artist Academy, you could just comment interested. We'll reach out. We could get you in before September 1st if you wanted to. But we've already sold some pre-orders and we're getting really, really great feedback. But one thing,
Leaders Retreat. Yeah. Yes. And what are the dates for that?
That's the Leaders Retreat, September 21st through the 23rd, which is a little over a month. So we were able to lower tickets because we got a great sponsor with Forrest. And so for 2 tickets, it's $2,500. That does not cover your travel or your stay. But we start off on Saturday night and go to Monday at noon. And it is an incredible time. We talk about systems. We talk about procedures. We talk about culture, leadership, finances. We talk about commission structure. We're talking about how to price your pricing in your area. Like all of that's covered in, I guess that would be 2 days. But it's a really great time. It's here in Greenville, South Carolina. So if you're interested in that, just comment leader in the comments and we'll reach out to you. That's September 21st and 23rd of this year. One thing go ahead.
I was just going to say the one thing, and I just want to give a little bit of a shout out and then also put this out there to the salon owner that's listening. So here's a real testimonial of the last artist that we onboarded. We have been focused to bringing in and creating a path for experienced artists to come back to commission. It's something that we're experiencing in both of our companies. We're seeing it across the nation. That's a whole separate conversation to get into. But the thing I want to share is we had hired in a 10-year veteran. And when in my mind, I was like, man, I'm taking someone that has been in a, we'll just say self-employed experience for, the last 3 to 4 years. And as she was going through, I was like, man, this is going to be a really, really great check to the systems and the policies that we've built within our artist manual and then within our training manuals. And, this is transparently, her name is Chia. And Chia, I'm just so thankful that you had the awareness to share because the compliment really mattered. When she picked up the manual and she looked at me, I was like, oh Lord, it's too many pages, isn't it? And it is a lot. However, though, she said, this is good. Like y'all have thought of everything. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I always think of it like, this is the worst damn thing I've ever made because there's so much always to be improved on it. Right. But getting that feedback from someone that was like, again, why was she making the shift? I guarantee you that a piece of it surely was burnout. And when burnout happens, there's lack of structure because there's lack of boundaries, right? Yeah. So I share that with all the owners in the room. These manuals, when we're intentional about them and we build them to serve, they unlock people in your organization, and it literally will change the way that you lead and the way that you operate your company. You'll do so at a higher level of an experience. So Chia, thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that. You'll start attracting the right people too. Because when people show up, if you start this in your interview process, we have an 8-step interview process. And a lot of times I'll ask them, hey, where have you been interviewing other places? And because I want them to interview other places. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I want you to work here because you want to work here, not because you're too lazy to drive across town. But have you interviewed other places? And a lot of times they're like, yes, but it's nothing like how you guys have set up here. Because we're very intentional. We're very structured when it comes to interviewing. And here's the thing. I can steer off the path. I've done this before where I've interviewed someone and I've walked out and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was the one. Like
Yeah.
we can just skip all the steps.
Yep.
And then next thing I know, I'm not going to go too much into detail, but then I find out the next day something where I'm like, yeah, we're not moving forward on her. So it's really good to stick to the process.
Yes.
I have to tell myself that, which leads into something I want to share is you do not run your business off emotions. Like when it comes to systems and processes, use your emotions to be the positive factor, like the creativity, because you want to have a business that is creative and has a little bit of your personality.
100%.
Yeah, but you do not need to run your business off emotions, because what do emotions do, Chris? They do
So, yeah, when emotions are high, IQ is low. Right. So when we ride that wave of emotions, if we make decisions at the crest of it, the likelihood of those being good decisions is not likely. One of the Evan, and as I was priming and prepping, for this talk today, I reviewed myself on recently when I felt that my emotions were getting involved in a situation in the way that, like, whatever it was. And now as I look back to it, in every single one of them, if there's an emotional piece to it, I'm now asking a new question, right?
Yeah.
Is this process complete right now? Because usually, like, if there's an emotional response, it actually for me usually isn't the event. What I'm finding is at this level of operation, it's actually like, dang it, we missed something. Gosh, and if the expectation was clear, I probably wouldn't even be in this conversation right now, right? So I'm learning my own way of within this. In the way that I'm hearing this is, I agree. We should, like, running your business off of emotion is a tried and true course to disaster, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get better; it usually gets worse. And then the amount of undoing to get back to where you were, it's just costly, right? But the part of it is, I think, is letting you know, like, what trips off the idea that our systems need to be looked at again. And in the same way, like for our front end manual, the moment there's a new human coming in, that trips off, hey, we got to double check, because before we expose this person to this manual, let's make sure it's updated and complete. Because the worst thing would be is if we're like, this second page, we don't even do that anymore. We'll skip that one.
I know, isn't that the worst?
Nope. So what all you just did there was you said, hey, some of this I really want you to take to heart. Some of it I don't. And now, again, we're about consistency and clear expectations. So that's why the edits have to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you were talking, I was thinking, what are some things that I've done where I probably would have let off emotions? And I think about, because when my emotions are good, like, that's good for the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's usually when our emotions are down, like so someone leaves the company. You know what we do? We have a system.
Yep.
We have a document of this is what we do. We, deny access to our building. We take them off the website. If there's a letter that needs to go out, we already had one that we've used in the past.
Yep.
So having a system, even though, because that's very heartbreaking when that happens.
Yep.
So we're thinking, all right, let's take the emotions out. What do we need to do?
Yep.
Same thing, bad reviews. You get a bad review, you'll walk around with it, and you need to attack it quickly, right?
Yep.
So you don't want to wait 3 or 4 days. So you get a bad review. We got a 4-star review that was internally on Saturday, and it was she loved everything the stylist did. She just thought that our salon was expensive. She says, I paid $100 more coming to your salon. And, I looked at the ticket and want to make sure everything was correct. And it was a Saturday. So I just texted her right then, as soon as we got the review, and just say, hey, this is my personal cell phone number. I just wanted to reach out just to give clarity. And, if she wants to chat, she can. But I had to do, all right, what do? I do this now.
Yep.
Do I give them away my cell phone number? I do. I've never had a guest bother me by giving them my personal cell phone number.
Yeah.
Never. But I guarantee you the impact of that was oh my gosh, I have this guy's cell phone, his personal cell phone number, you know?
Yeah.
So in that moment, I had to stick to systems and processes of, all right, this is what we do. We respond quickly and we give clarity. So is there anything else that comes to mind that you think of, like when the emotions, you might want to work off emotions, but you have to you have to think systems and processes?
Yeah, I mean, I think again in the moment of it, I try my damn best to just remember, hey, I think we're all here about the same goal. So first out, I want to unify everybody, right? Secondly, I have to remember and say, hey, no matter what, at the end of the day, I have responsibility in this. So I need to show up as I have responsibility. And for me, again, try and keep a curious mind. Remember that dialogue is going to be really, really important, because I think in the moment of it, if we react on the thing, that reaction can do different things to different people, right? As we think about the Enneagram numbers that exist within our companies, again, when there's a mistake or an opportunity to get better, create safety and security, because it's a really strong foundation to be able to build on top of. So that's my TED talk on.
Yeah,
emotion.
I love it. I'm here for it. So we talked about orientation. We talked about front desk. We talked about, having associate, having a system with that. I would love to talk about and if you had any questions, please comment, but I want to talk about culture, the culture with inside the salon. What are the systems and process? Because I do think there has to be some type of system and process for culture. Like, for instance, you can't show up with a bad attitude. Like, it's just not going to roll in our company.
Yeah.
You can't come in wearing your pajamas. Like those are systems and processes you have to put together for culture. And so this is fresh off the press. Literally, as a team, we've gotten together and we're like, all right, what we call these the Silver Salon 11 keys to success. And basically we're putting systems and processes towards our culture. This is what we live and die by. And this will be in the back room. Can I share this, Chris?
So here's the wild part, Evan. I didn't know how it was going to work its way in, but I literally at the beginning of it, y'all, I love the number 11, just for anyone to be clear.
There you go.
Hey, I was like, I want this in, so you're doing it. Let's hear it. I'm excited.
All right. So systems and processes for culture. The first one is you're not losing, you're learning. Cultivate a positive attitude and seize every opportunity for personal and professional growth. So that's the first one. You're not losing, you're learning. You think about situations, especially inside the salon of, oh my gosh, this hair color did this, or, I cut it too short. She didn't like it. Hey, you're not losing, you're learning. Next time, just don't cut as much off. The next one is be on time every time. So we're all about punctuality here. Punctuality shows respect for everyone's time. Arrive 20 minutes early, ready to make an impact. So 20 minutes, some people might be like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. We have a 10-minute meeting before our day starts. So it's 10 minutes before that to get the salon prep ready to go. The next one is leave no trace. Clean up after yourself to maintain a tidy and professional environment. So, leave no trace. You weren't even here. As you can see, we have an open color bar in so, when you have, let's see, I can see if I can show it. So, when you have an open counter and color and developer, it can get dirty quick. And so I'm not going to go into details, but like we don't leave bowls in the sink or the drying rack. It literally takes 6 seconds to dry out a bowl and put it in the drawer. Yep. I think I'm hearing some amens from some salon owners right now. So the next one is celebrate the wins. Recognize and celebrate even the small victories to build momentum and morale. So as a team, you got to celebrate the victories. Maybe you're a salon owner. You need to start celebrating the victories in your company. Your team needs to hear the victories that are happening in your company. Next one is see a need, meet a need, step in and address it, be proactive and helpful. So that could be you see a guest walking out and it's raining. If you have time, grab her umbrella, walk out there with her. Or it could be you see a stylist running behind, you're going to go ahead and prep their next guest. So see a need, meet a need. You see the trash is full, that's a need, meet it, take the trash out. Next one is, and let me stop here. Our team came up with this. I came up with 0 of these. So that's the great thing. Our team got together. We had our core values. We're like, what are some things that we could do that would achieve our core values? So that's where this came from. Next one is check in before you check out. Always check in with your team before you leave to ensure everything is in order. Then we started the Silver 48. Reply to messages in 48 seconds, 48 minutes, or at most 48 hours. So we implemented the 48 because we're closed Sunday and Monday. So they're like, so we did the Silver 48. We tried to do the 48 seconds or 48 minutes. And then next one is be where your feet are. Focus on the present moment and give your full attention to your current task. Christopher, if I could just go around the salons across the country and just whisper in people's ear that are dealing with personal stuff and professional, they're just all over the place. Just be where your feet are.
Yep.
Because my kids are at school. Like yep. I can't control them right now. Where my feet are right now is in this webinar, and I'm giving 100% of the attention to this webinar. So be where your feet are. 3 more. The next one is smile at every guest. Greet every guest with a warm smile, make them feel welcome and valuable. So anytime, even if it's not your guest, you smile at every guest as you walk by. Next one is my favorite. Spread laughter. Make someone laugh every day to create a joyful and positive atmosphere. You show me, like, happy people make money and happy people laugh. So I'm like, hey, if we can get them laughing, they'll be happy. And if they're happy, they'll make money, So spread laughter. And then the last one, Christopher, I bet this will be your favorite one. Clear communication. Educate and inform your guests about your actions to build trust and understanding. Apply the same approach with your team. So those are the 11 keys of success for Silver Salon. Again, it's a system, it's a process that's put in for culture.
So the first thing I want to say, just in experiencing the methodology and the way that y'all did it, one, it matters because who created it, right? And it was a team thing. The other part that, again, from a space of, consistency, to be clear to everyone, if there's this idea that our salons are ran a carbon copy of each other, they are not. The reality is, though, when he read through those 11, I literally am going through in my mind, I'm like, wow, like literally within the last week that I've been in the building, this is where I've seen that to be. This is where I've seen that one to be, right? So as you're listening to these, obviously they're like, yes, they're going to do something, but the main purpose of it is that the team creates it, because the team's need is really going to be what it is, right? I can guarantee you, right? Like, I know that in our brand, punctuality would be at a different place on the list. Not that anyone's better or worse to it. It's just going to be like, okay, well, when we make this, where do we want to position it, right? So I just want to say, man, kudos to the team for creating that and getting to experience it and listen to it. It really gave me a place of like, wow, yes, that's firing. That's doing it. Like, that's firing on all cylinders versus that's not firing people. That's firing on all cylinders, to be very, very clear. And then also, I love that you said that. And I'm reminded by someone that I worked with for a number of years. And she had said this one thing that was brilliant. I was like, hey, I've just really noticed you being present to the way that you're communicating with your clients. And she said, hey, you know what? It all came because I realized, like, I thought I was great at communication until I realized I wasn't. And we all are. We all are at that same area. Our communication is only as good as our awareness to get better at it and our intention to it, right? Last week we said it a lot. I'm trying to think of a situation where, like, how is over communication damaging? I can't think of it, right? The farthest, darkest place I could go to is if someone had like a mental duress situation and I'm like, hey, you've told me 86 times that you love your blue socks. I know that you love your blue socks. The world knows you love your blue socks, right?
Yeah,
I get it, right? But outside of that, like, I can't think of a situation where over communicating is a bad thing. So, dude, well done on that.
Yeah,
Kudos
well,
to the team.
that's our team. I literally was just a facilitator. But here's the great thing: when you come up with a system and process like this, now this is what we're going to hire by. And I don't like the word fire, but what
Okay.
you're going to hire and fire by.
Yep.
You know, like you don't come in on time. Like this is the 11 rules or 11 keys to success. Like you cannot be successful here if you're not following the keys to success. And so
Yep.
it's a great way to coach people inside the company as well. If they keep coming in late, go back, or you feel like they're not all here when they're there, or they're not all here
There when they're
mentally
here.
when they're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, check in with them. Hey, one of our keys to success is be where your feet are. I feel like right now, how's everything going? Seems like you're kind of scattered. That opens the door for coaching. So, yeah, 11 keys to success, man. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about onboarding process. We talked about process when they're here. Oh, let me say this. When it comes to you've talked about this of how you're always adaptive and changing.
Mm-hmm.
This is something you got to teach all the time. So once you come up with this, your team meetings, your team, like all that, you're just going to revert back to this. Like this right here, this is a whole year of material on team meetings. And you could just pick one. Hey, leave no trace, clean up after yourself. You know how many times Aaron has gotten over to this bar and say, hey, I'm going to show everyone what it looks like after you mix color. Some people are like, hey, I'm not in elementary school. And then there's some people, it's like, oh, she does it. Okay. So we put the bowls up. Okay. I missed that because there's going to be communication gaps.
Yep.
And so I shared this with you last week. Like there's communication gaps in every facet of communication.
Yep.
And your team's either going to fill that with trust or they're going to fill it with suspicion. And just what you talked about, like once you communicate clearly over and over and over and over, your team's going to start filling that with trust and not so much suspicion. So when it comes to systems and processes, it's not like, oh, we got it, we told them, move on. It's like, no, you need to come back, keep coming back to it in training. I know with public speaking, people remember 10% of what you say, which is very encouraging for us as we go. But same thing, like people are going to remember 10%. Like we just brought this to our team on Friday. And I guarantee you, if I was like, hey, what are name me three off here? They probably couldn't do it. They probably couldn't do it. So
you know what, man? I actually want you to test this because I think your team is surgical at it. I bet 50% get more than 50%. I bet that the other 50% probably hit 9. That's just my guess.
You might be right. We have a smart team.
We both have incredible teams. Maybe that's the other thing I'd like to maybe say within this time. Cause like we did talk about like, the importance of this to culture. So when you think about it, when you've created good structures and good policies so that people are able to exist and flourish within your brand, right? It creates an experience for them when they're leaving your doors. If they know what 11 looked like for them and they showed up that way, here's the thing, man. Any way that we can achieve the feeling of fulfillment in that you achieved your day, and even at a bare minimum, what we do is difficult, right? I don't know a single artist that has like, oh my gosh, all 8 clients today, all of them I felt like I did horribly. I've never heard the story. Now, if that could be a real thing, but more when I go to it is even at the bare minimum at the end of the day, like, man, I had some difficult clients today, but you know what though? I stuck to like my path and I didn't let my mind get busy. Where I was there, right? My path was clean. And when I left an area, it was made better than when I found it, right? So like when you create those kind of things, it allows someone, if they have the optimistic mind to review themselves, it still gives them a win. And the other part that I want to say is just based on, when we shared, like I genuinely feel that I have loved and I'm so thankful for the tenure of every employee that we've had through Anagen's history. However, I would say right now, I feel like like every person on our team wants to be here, right?
Yeah.
So when I say that, and when we talk about these systems to the owners that are in the room, this is the end result when you do this work. And the other part that we always have to remember is, it's when we create a system, we're saying, hey, if I'm not here and y'all had to figure it out, this is what we've come up with to create the best experience. Please know that it's a version, meaning if you have something to add, I want that idea. Because in the same way that we created this, when we created it, we're like that 11 group is like, that is sharp, right? Now in a year, might they have an evolution to that? Might they have an involvement to it? Absolutely. There might be a new current need that they want to look to. But when you have these things, it helps the organization. And if you're looking to build team and you want a different experience of it, we can help you refine whatever it is that you need within your company. Even if it's down to one of these small policies, a small refinement can really unlock your team.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good word. So just to recap as we sign off, if no one has any questions, is remember, systems serve the people. The systems need to serve the people. So if the systems and people start butting heads, look at the systems and see if there needs to be anything refined. Ding, 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 using the word. Remember, people crave structure. They do. They crave structure. Oh, got fireworks going on.
Here we are. That's what I wanted.
Don't run your business off emotions. Get systems and processes to, especially for me, when my emotions get low, I just need practical things to do. I don't need to be creative in that time. And then the last one that we haven't talked about, but all the systems need to focus on growth. So look at the systems. Are they making your people successful? Are they moving your company forward? And every company that is successful and moves the needle, they have systems, they have processes. And
I want to share one thing to this part, and I'm glad that we're finishing on it. So when we think about the way that you're making a system and you're making a process in what the focus is to it, again, I cannot say this enough, that when we're choosing to do this, we're choosing to create consistency. And to be able to create consistency, just remember that you need to bring in as many heads as are active within that role, right? And I think the other part of it, and for me, it's just the evolution of the brand. When I think of some of these things that we've built, they will end up being works. I mean, right now I can think back, there's a person on our team that has taught me about punctuality in a really, really important way for me to look at it as a leader. I had to have an open enough mind. So the key to listening is actually to have an open mind. So remember, when you're creating these, openness in mind, because if you have a specific result that you're wanting to go after, let them know how you want to get there. So also maybe another point of it is, when we're thinking about making these for growth, it is to grow your company. And this is the last point I'll say. When someone comes to me with an idea or something that they're asking for, I just say, hey, I'm going to first stress test it. The first question I have is, this thing that you're asking for, if everyone did it at the same time, would this be a win, or would we have an organizational problem? Right?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Because here's the thing. When we dream up our ideas, that's a point position. We then just have to remember, the whole organization has to be able to have the same right that you do.
Yeah.
Is it repeatable? Is it scalable? Right?
Yeah. Christopher, if I was going to give you, not give you, let's just say we went we were going to invest $10,000 today.
Yep.
Would we get our money? Will we see increase and get our money back in 2 days? No, right? It's going to take time.
Yeah.
Like when you invest money, it takes time.
Yep.
I've said this before. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time. Here's the thing. Put in the time now, because it's going to, over time, it's like investing money. You're going to see you're buying your time back later on. So and listen, I'm preaching to the choir here, because I need to record a video of our orientation. Now I do want a personal touch on, just to cut down on the 3 hours. But I keep saying, well, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do that. But yeah, every time we hire somebody, there's 3 hours of my time. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And I'm like, you know what? I could spend 12 hours editing the video, getting it set up and laying it out. And I would, next time we hire somebody, maybe I'm spending 45 minutes with them. So I'm getting my time back.
I want to break this apart, Evan, because of what you said. So, okay, Evan is an Enneagram 7. My assumption to it actually is, would you be able to do it and make it efficient? Absolutely. But I also know that like the 7 in you, and this is exactly what you said, like you want to still keep it personal, because there is a magic. There's a magic of the owner of an organization dedicating that amount of time to someone.
Yeah.
What it shows, you're visible, you're available, you're a real human, right? You get to work in a little bit of like, hey, I know that in a lot of companies that you've probably worked in, if you've had a few jobs, I might be looked at this individual.
I don't know if that's on my end or your end. Oh,
I think
you're back. Oh,
okay, cool.
I lost you. So you said I'm available, visible, valuable.
Yeah. And so when we're doing that, and that's the challenge of it, you're going to optimize it. And might it be that they watch a 90-minute video and they spend 90 minutes with you? That might be it. But that's exactly as an example in real life to everyone that's in here. When we create these things, it has to be for you. And that's also why we call their company Refine. It isn't that you have to do things our way. We're just bringing in some best practices. It's up to you to add the little bit of magic, whether it's onto your dessert or into your soup.
Yeah, the magic. All right, we're going to end on this. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today, or if you're watching this later on, thanks for watching this. September 9th, our next rally webinar is on the Artist Academy onboarding and training. So if you, this is great tag into, if you're like, okay, I heard about this Artist Academy onboarding training. We're going to be giving you more of an insight on September 9th at 12 p.m. We're going to give you more insight on what it looks like. We'll show you some videos. We'll share with you. We'll probably have some people that are a part of the Artist Academy come in and chat about this, but we're really, really excited about the Artist Academy. And so you'll be getting more information on that. Again, Christopher, thank you. Thank you to all of our listeners and our watchers. You're watchers today, not listeners. And we'll see you September.
If you're driving, 9th. Hopefully you're listening.
Yes, true. All right. Y'all have a great week.
Take care.